kitchen, and I am here to talk to you all about the basics of grilling. My plan tonight was to be outside at my grill, but it is super windy here and it is starting to rain. I actually had to bring everything inside, but we're going to do our best transitioning all of our lessons to a gas stovetop, and I'm going to pretend just like it's my grill outside. Okay, so we're going to just go right into all of our awesome tips, tricks, and some food tips as well. And also our top 10 grilling tips to really make you like the hero of the grill this summer. As Sadia said, I am a cooking instructor. I've been a cooking instructor since 2015. I am a family health coach since 2020. I just had my 1-year anniversary. I'm also a certified elementary school teacher, and I specialize in history. So a lot of the times you'll see my programming has threads of food history in it as well, nutrition, and then of course food tips. I just absolutely love food. I'm passionate about it. I love teaching people about it to make you more confident in your kitchen or at your grill. Okay, so perfect timing for the summer. I am going to be giving you a lot of tips, some temperatures, some cooking methods. So if you want to write anything down, now's your time to grab that pen and pencil. If you have pen and pencil, that didn't make sense. Paper and pencil, there we go. And if you have any questions along the program, I love a chatty chat or chatty Q&A. So please feel free to put that in there. It makes me feel like I'm not so alone cooking in my kitchen. So welcome again, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do before we get to our 2 recipes that we're going to cover today is to give you some my top 10 grilling tips. So the first thing when you grill is you need to make sure that you are preheating your grill. We don't want to put food on a cold grill. We want that sear on the outside of whatever we're doing. We want that high heat on the outside of what we're doing. So if you have a gas grill, you're going to preheat for about 10 to 15 minutes. I have a gas stovetop, so I'm actually going to turn my burners on to start preheating a little bit. Now, a gas stovetop doesn't need as much time to preheat as a gas grill does. But the cool thing about a gas grill, or a charcoal grill needs about 25 to 30 minutes to preheat, so a little bit longer. The cool thing about grilling is it gives you the sear of a stovetop, but the baking of an oven, because we're closing that lid, right? So all gas grilling gurus agree that a preheated grill gives you the best results. It's going to sear that food on contact. It's going to help prevent your sticking. It's going to create that great flavor. You want to, like I said, preheat your grill for about 15 minutes. If your recipe calls for high heat, that's about 450 degrees. If it calls for medium high heat, it's about 400 degrees. Medium heat is about 350 to 375. Medium low is like 325 to 300 to 325, and anything low is 250 to 300. So you'll see it's in like those 50-degree increments, starting all the way up at 450 and 500 degrees, all the way down to about 250 degrees. And the recipe that you're using will obviously have a scientific reason for why it is that heat, whether it needs to be a very fast sear and cook, or a very slow process because it's a tougher meat or something that needs a little bit longer to cook. So if you don't have a thermometer or a temperature gauge on your grill, that's totally fine. You can just use kind of how you do with your gas stovetop, and you use your numbers on your gas grill the same way. So you kind of all the way up to high, medium, high, medium low, and all the way to low. Okay. So you can use those temperature gauges on your grill as well. Mine has a temperature gauge on there. I don't know how accurate it is. So a lot of the times I'm just kind of finagling with the gauge of how much gas is coming out of the grill. The other thing you want to do before you start grilling, and while your grill is preheating, you want to clean your grill grates. It's easiest to clean the grill grates when the grill is hot. So this is in the preheating process. You're going to use, what I like to use is a wooden grill scraper, not a metal bristle one, but a wooden one. And you can see this one is well loved. This one's about 3 years old. And you'll see that it actually, there we go. You'll see that it actually has formed to the shape of our grill grates. Why wood and not metal? because the metal bristles can get stuck in your grill or on your food. There actually are people that go to the ER very often with pieces of metal bristles in their throat or in their esophagus because of those metal grill bristles. They're not safe. And so they might do a great job abrasively, but they're not safe to be putting your raw meat right on it. Okay. Which is why I like the wooden grill scraper better, a lot safer. And they last a long time. This guy, like I said, is 3 years old. We grill frequently in my house, between my husband and myself. They do have to be stored inside or else the wood will get mildewy. And so these do need to be stored inside. So we kind of have a shelf like in our kitchen island where we store all the grill tools. But a wood scraper is the best to get all of those little charred bits off of your grill. You also want to clean your grill right after you cook. Okay, so after you take off all of your meats, we usually let the grill go for another couple minutes and then we come back while our meat is resting, because resting your meat is very important when you grill or cook, and you're going to scrape and to get all of the little bits off of there. That also helps it be sanitary. You're not cooking right on top of old food, right? You're getting all those grilled bits off of it. I do see a couple of Q&A things happening, so I want to make sure that I answer those. Where can you get one? So this one specifically, I got from Pampered Chef like 3 years ago, but you can get these just at Walmart, Target. The wooden grill scrapers are super trendy and popular now. You can get them on Amazon, Williams Sonoma, wherever you like to shop, you will be able to find a wooden grill scraper, all sizes. This is a big honking one. And this one, like I said, is about 3 years old. So good question. Pretty much anywhere you shop nowadays. 3 years ago, they were kind of more exclusive to a little bit more of the high-end retailers. And now they're starting to make their way into the more big box stores. So, and a lot of them actually come in grill tool sets now instead of the metal bristles. So that's a good health food changeover here, the wooden grill scraper. The other thing you want to do is oil your grill. Sometimes lean food sticks even with the cleanest of grills. So to prevent that sticking, make sure you oil your grill right before the food goes on it. Use a vegetable oil soaked paper towel, hold it with your tongs, and then you'll just rub it against your grill grates before you put your food on the grill. Do not spray a hot grill with cooking spray or oil. That would be very bad. Now, I am going to oil my grill pan that I have on my stovetop very shortly. And you will see me spray it, but that's because this is an indoor thing. And that's just the easiest way to do it in my kitchen, but you will not do that to a grill. You don't want to use a grill spray and spray it right on there. You don't want to spray it when it's cold and then let the hot heat hit it, because obviously your grill isn't clean yet. So you have to take those steps: preheat, clean your grill grates, oil your grill. 3 steps. Okay. So just like in your kitchen, preheat your oven, right? You're going to use clean pots and pans, and then you're probably going to use some kind of cooking oil when you're cooking as well. Same process outside. Okay. Also keep it sanitary. You're going to see that I'm making 2 recipes tonight. One is going to be chicken based and one is going to be a grilled pineapple. And so you're going to see me use 2 sets of tongs. You're going to see me use clean platters. You're not going to reuse plates unless they're washed for this food. And you also want to change out your cooking surfaces if you have to. I'm not going to be actually cutting any chicken on here today. I already pre-cut it. But if I were, I would use a clean cutting board. So you want to make sure you keep your area sanitary, especially moving in and out when you are grilling outside and coming back in with other tools and other platters. Also, if you are marinating your meat, whether that be pork or chicken or beef, do not use your marinade after you take your meat out of the marinade. So that is not something you should make a sauce out of. That is not something you should pour over the top of your meat. That gets put right in the garbage. Okay. So you don't want to try to reuse any of that marinade. You want to get rid of that. Again, that's not a food safe practice you should be doing. If you are cooking more delicate foods, like vegetables or fish or, mostly vegetables or fish, to be totally honest. Even some fruits, like we're going to be doing the grilled pineapple. One of the things that you might want to invest in in addition to a wooden grill scraper, is actually a grill mat or a grill pan, okay? So something that is grill safe for temperatures over 500 degrees. I have this little grill stone here. This is just my smaller version that I like to use on the grill for fish or vegetables. It still gives me great little grill marks and it chars it in great spots, but it's not going to sear it. We're not going to have to worry about food falling through, not sticking to the grill grates, even if we oiled it well. This guy is great. Mats are flexible, and they're just a flexible piece of grill safe material up to 500 degrees. There's big ones, small ones, all over the place. Again, a lot of stores carry these. You can also go online. I know the Weber website carries different accessories for their grills, and you can definitely find this is made out of like a clay, so stones, or the flexible grilling mats. So that's another great thing to invest in. Typically, when I do my deconstructed shish kebabs, which I'm going to be showing you guys tonight, typically I would use this for my deconstructed shish kebabs because they are deconstructed and it's lots of little pieces of food. We're going to pretend that we're using this one when I use my awesome grill pan back at the stovetop, and I'll move you guys closer when we're actually grilling back there, so don't worry about that. But typically it's going to be put on here, and I'm going to utilize the grill as kind of a stovetop oven in order to cook my deconstructed shish kebab. And then that way I don't have to worry about soaking the sticks or skewering anything or things falling off or things getting done and not getting done. Deconstructed shish kebab is one of my family's very favorite things to do. Also, when you're grilling, keep the lid on. I just crack up every time I see the commercials on TV with the dad standing at just with the grill open and flipping everything. That's not good practice. You're not going to cook your food that way. You want to keep the lid closed for a majority of the time, just like opening your oven door. If you keep on opening your oven door, you're going to keep dropping that temperature and your food is not going to cook evenly. And it's not going to cook. It's going to take a lot longer to cook. So your grill is the same concept. Keep your lid closed. Only open it when you need to flip your food or check your food for doneness. Speaking of checking your food for doneness, the third tool I'm going to recommend is a meat thermometer. Okay. My words were not coming out there. Meat thermometer. And I like the ones because technology has come a long way that are more of like an instant read where you can read within 3 to 5 seconds and you're not waiting for the little dial to go up to where it should be on the meat thermometer. Meat thermometer, it accurately tells you when your food is cooked through at the temperature you want. Remember, when you do check your meat, you're going to check it in the same spot all the time, which is going to be in the thickest part of whatever protein you're cooking. That way the juice doesn't keep running out of your meat. So that way you can check it in one spot on one piece of meat on your grill. You can check a couple pieces of meat if you feel like you have hot spots on your grill, but one spot on your grill and it'll tell you within 3 to 5 seconds what the temperature is. Don't forget, though, that the temperature will rise a few degrees once you take it off the grill. And this is called residual cooking. It's the same principle in baking. If you take your cookies out of the oven, leave them on that hot sheet pan, they're going to continue baking on there until they're cool, until that sheet pan is cooled or until you remove them. So it's that residual cooking time. Same thing with meat. So if we're cooking chicken and you take the temperature of it, and it's like 163 degrees, you're pretty safe to take that chicken off, because if you let it sit like you should for about 10 minutes, then it's going to continue cooking because that food is hot and it's going to be well above 165 degrees, which is your desired temperature. Okay. Now for beef, you do have to be a little bit more cognizant of that because beef has different cooking temperatures from rare all the way up to well done. And so that's something that you want to check in about 5 degrees less. So say you want it medium rare at 135 degrees, you might take it off at 130 degrees to let that residual cooking time for that 10-minute sit time finish cooking that meat to 135 degrees. Okay, it raises anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees. So that's something even for regular cooking and baking as well. Okay, if you have flare-ups on your grill, this is tip number 8. Can you believe we're already through tip number 8? Flying through so many good little tips, right? So let your grill warm up, preheat it, clean your grill grates, oil your grill, just like in the regular kitchen space. Keep it sanitary, just like in the regular kitchen space. If you want to prevent your cooking more delicate foods on the grill, get yourself a grill mat or stone. Make sure you keep your lid closed. Check your meat's temperature. Now, flare-ups. We don't have flare-ups in the kitchen very often. I know some stories. There's some kitchen nightmares out there, right? But most of the time, we have kitchen flare or grill flare-ups because of the fatty meat that we're cooking, the high temperatures, and the abundance of outside oxygen, right? Especially if it's a windy day. So keep an eye on your grill for flare-ups. I know that I particularly have one hot spot on my grill. It's on my left side of my grill when I'm cooking. So I tend to move my food around when I have that so that it doesn't get too hot, doesn't overcook, and it doesn't get a flare-up. Now, flare-ups occur when fat drips onto the heat and catches fire. Like it's literally fat on fire, okay? So you can reduce the flare-ups by using a grill mat or that stone, cooking with lean meat, making sure you're trimming off the excess fat, removing poultry skin, watching for hot spots, okay? Especially when you cook burgers. Burgers tend to be a fattier one, or sausages. Those tend to flare up as well. Sometimes even your fattier cuts of steaks, like strip steak. There's another one my husband likes too. I forget the name of it. I don't know. I like my really lean meat. So I'm like, I'll frou-frou with my filet all the time because I don't like fatty meat. But if you do get a flare up, there are a couple steps that you follow if you do get a flare up. The first step is to remove the food from that flare up. So if it's a burger sitting in the middle of a flare up, we're not Burger King here. We're not going for the flame grilled thing. We're going to remove that burger from that flare up. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to turn down the heat slightly over that burner or over the whole gas grill, and you're going to close the lid. The reason being is because we don't want to feed it with more oxygen. Okay, so 3 steps: remove the food, turn down the heat, close the lid. That's how you get the flare up to go away. If it truly is not going away, I've had this happen a couple times to me with specifically bratwurst, because that is just fat all over the place, is you actually remove the food, turn off the heat. If it's still on fire, then you'll actually go to your pantry and you'll get some baking soda and you'll pour baking soda over the flare up and close the lid, and that will put out your fire. Okay, do not try to put water on it. It's just going to exacerbate the fire. Make sure you have baking soda on hand if you do have a flare up, especially for fattier foods. Okay. Tip number 9, make sure you're evening out your food. I kind of did touch on this a little bit. Hot spots are bound to happen on a grill. They're a little bit unpredictable, but usually after you get to grilling a couple times, you'll kind of understand where your food is cooking hotter, even though your grill is supposed to be an even temperature. And you'll notice things aren't cooking evenly. So you can go ahead and move that around the grill. If you're noticing that, you go to flip your food and this half is cooked way more than this half, you might want to flip-flop them for when you flip them over, okay? And I touched on number 10 as well. Let your meat rest. Allow meat to rest about 10 minutes before you actually cut into it and start serving it. This lets the juices redistribute evenly for the best and tastiest results. I'm talking from your nice lean piece of chicken to your juicy fatty burger, okay? So everything in between. Let your meat rest. That is going to give you the best results, okay? Were there any questions about the top 10 grilling tips? Because now we're going to start grilling. I'm going to check the chat. Q&A looks good. Chat looks good. Feel free, if while I'm cooking, you guys have more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. While we're grilling, I'm also going to give you some more cooking tips, and I'm also going to give you some really good protein tips for specific meats that you might grill, like burgers and sausages and whatnot, okay? So let me move a couple of my things over. I actually am going to preheat my grill pan back here because grilling inside, my grill pan takes a lot less time to preheat than a grill. We're going to be making first our deconstructed shish kebab. My grill stone, it's from Pampered Chef. I love Pampered Chef. It's a wonderful plethora of different things, really great quality, love the warranties. So this one is from Pampered Chef as well. It comes in this small one, and then there's a much larger one as well that I normally do like family size deconstructed shish kebab on, or bigger pieces of fish, things like that. This one's Pampered Chef, but there are, like I said, for sure ones at, I've seen them at the Weber Grill website. I've seen them on Amazon, and I've seen them at Williams-Sonoma. So a couple different varieties that you can find. I'm sure that there's grill safe things out right now, just because it's seasonal items, probably at Target and Walmart and things like that. I've even seen great grilling stuff at like Tractor Supply, Menards, places like that where you have the grills for sale. They oftentimes have a lot of great grill accessories as well. Okay. But this one, like I said, I just like the warranty on these just in case anything happens. All right, so our first recipe is going to be the deconstructed shish kebab. I love this recipe because it's so versatile, meaning you can use any protein, you can use any combination of veggies, you can use any rub. So it's kind of open-ended, but it's a really basic kind of combination of things. All right. So I already cut up a few large chicken breasts. I cut these up earlier today, and I actually marinated them in a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and I chose a Greek rub. When I think shish kebab, I think Mediterranean. So I went Greek rub today, but you can use like just a crushed peppercorn and garlic, a bell pepper rub. You could use like Jamaican jerk seasoning. You could use Korean barbecue. I mean, really whatever you're going for, put it on the protein. You can do chicken, you can do pork, you can do beef. And the recipes that I gave you tell you about how long to grill each thing based on your cooking temperature. Okay. So I have the chicken here. I added salt and pepper, my rub, and my olive oil. I'm going to put this in my bowl here because now we need to add all the veggies. All right. So for the veggies, I chose some bell peppers. I like lots of color in my deconstructed shish kebabs. So I have some red, yellow, and orange bell pepper. You guys know that bell pepper is all the same. It's just how long it's left on the vine. So your red pepper is actually going to be your sweetest. And so we're going to cut that one first. This is a great snacking pepper. My daughter forgot to take the stickers off for me. That's going to be your sweetest. I am going to chop them about the same size as our chicken. So chunks, right? Just like a shish kebab would be. Instead of skewers though, we're just putting it all in one bowl. So we'll cut those up. Then we're going to go to our orange, which is the next sweetest. Again, a really nice, great snacking pepper. My daughter helps me with the washing everything ahead of time, but sometimes she's not very good about taking the stickers off when she washes it. All right, we'll chop those up. Now we are going to add some more spices and whatnot to this as well. We're just going to get everything cut first. And then we're going to go with yellow, and then green is going to be our least sweet pepper. But I don't have a green today because we're going to use something else for green. I went with all these other colors first. Take out my seeds. We don't want the pulpy part in there, so you can kind of peel that back. And we'll add that to our bowl as well. Look at that. There we go. We don't want any. Going to have a talking to my assistant about taking stickers off of things. All right, for our green, we're going to use zucchini. Zucchini cooks up really nicely, and since this recipe cooks so quickly, it actually does not get super soggy or mushy. And so I like to use the green zucchini. It's so good for you as well. To me, it honestly tastes like kind of green bean-ish, and I really like that texture. So in here, you can do other veggies too, like green beans or asparagus or yellow squash, lots of different things that you can do. I'm going to do an onion, and I'm just going to rough chop this. This is just a sweet onion here. Can you tell I like this recipe too? Because I'm a busy mom and health coach and all the other things that you heard Sadia talk about earlier. So I don't have time for lots of the finer things that happen in the kitchen sometimes. I like rustic kind of food. The last thing we're going to add is a couple cloves of garlic. I am going to use a garlic press just because I like all the oils that are extruded out of it. And I like the no mess of it. I don't have to have garlic fingers. So I put a whole clove of garlic in here, not even peeled. Just going to squeeze it out, get my garlic out. My peel's still inside, so I'm just going to use my knife tip to get it out and then squeeze another one in there. You can slice yours if you want to, totally fine. I just like the flavor of pressed garlic. It's 10 times more potent than sliced garlic. All right. So then from here, we're going to add a little bit more olive oil, just a smidge. Some more Greek seasoning. This smells so good. Greek seasoning often has like a lemon in it as well. So those great, nice, fresh summer notes are really, really good. I think I saw something else pop through. You can absolutely do potatoes. Great question. That one, I would cook them first though, because they're gonna still be too raw. The longest cooking time on this is about 15 minutes, which is actually for the chicken because we want to make sure it gets to 165 degrees. So I would cook them first before adding them to the deconstructed shish kebab. Oftentimes, I find myself just cooking them as a side instead of including them on the deconstructed shish kebab. To par bake them, you can actually boil them in cold water for just like 5 to 7 minutes, enough to kind of take that crunchiness off of them. The other thing you can do is actually put them on a microwave safe plate with a damp paper towel, put your potatoes on there, cut the diced potatoes, another damp paper towel, and you'll put them in the microwave for about 10 minutes and that'll par bake them as well. So par bake the potatoes before you start, if you decide to incorporate them actually into your deconstructed shish kebab. All right, so we're just gonna flip this. You guys can tell, using my bigger tongs for my shish kebab here. Just getting all those oils and spices all over everything. Now, typically what I would do is I would transfer it to this guy and I would put it on the grill. The grill would be on a medium-high heat, and I actually would go on an indirect heat, and I'll explain that in just a second. So I would be cooking this over indirect heat, which would give it more of an oven effect to my cooking rather than direct sear grilling effect, okay? Now, I'm not transferring it to this because I have a beautiful grill pan that I'm going to be using today, because obviously the weather is not cooperating. I don't know if you guys just see, got it even darker outside by me. I'm like right on that cusp of where the rain is right now, and it's like kind of ominous out there. So I'm not going to be transferring it. I will, though, bring you back to my grill pan. Should be nice and hot. I obviously let it preheat a little bit longer than normal, than I normally would in my kitchen. Sorry if you guys got a little flipped around there. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. I did preheat it over a medium high. I'm going to get my oil spritzer here. Typically, I would take a paper towel and rub it on my grill pan. But for this one, I'm going to just spray it because it's an indoor pan, and it's totally safe to spray an indoor pan. Just a little bit though, because our chicken and our veggies all have stuff on it already, okay? I'm not gonna spread it along the length of this whole thing because I'm actually gonna grill my pineapple in the back here as well once my shish kebab is almost done, okay? So from here, my smoke detector is gonna go off because it's mad at me for preheating too long. We're gonna get it into as one layer as possible, okay? Even if you were using a grill pan on your grill, you would try to get it into a single layer as possible so that all of your food is somehow touching your grill. There we go. So it's all pretty much touching my grill. It smells amazing. So we have that going on there. And then what we're gonna do from here is just let it sit. People like to fuss with their food way too much, whether on the grill or on their stovetop. Just leave it alone. Let the grill do the work, okay? So we're just gonna let this sit. I did turn it down because it is kind of screaming hot right now, and I'm not cooking over indirect heat. I'm cooking over direct heat. So I did just turn this down to a medium low, just so that my smoke detector stops yelling at me. So we're gonna let this work a little bit. Again, I gotta move a couple of my pieces around. Some of them aren't layered very well. If we did try to move this around, our chicken would stick and peel and rip. You wanna wait until the chicken releases naturally from the bottom of your grill pan. And so you don't wanna fuss with it. You don't wanna try to rip your protein off the bottom. That means it's not ready to go yet. All right, so we're gonna bring you back over here. And we're going to talk a little bit about direct and indirect heat. I also saw a question pop through, so I will look at that as well. All right, I apologize if you answered this already. Does meat that is resting need to be covered? It can. Ultimately, yes, that would be the best practice because it really tempts it. I tend to not like to tempt my meat because I don't want to steam it necessarily. It will hold in more heat. So if you are taking it off a little bit earlier than because you are worried about that temperature, you can tent it so that it really does trap in that heat. I tend not to tent it for 10 minutes because I really still like that kind of crunchy char bit on the outside, and that tends to soften it a little bit because of that steam. Great question. It's really up to the chef. It's not a yes or no answer. It's kind of a gray area based on your preferences. Okay. So indirect and direct heat. Right now, I'm cooking my food over direct heat, which means the food is sitting directly on top of the flame. Typically, this recipe with the grill stone, I would be cooking it on indirect heat, which means on a gas grill, if there are 3 burners, mine go 1, 2, 3, I would turn off the middle burner. My food would go over the middle burner and the flame would be on either side of the food. And there's no direct heat on my food, indirect heat. That gives it more of an oven effect. And it kind of takes away that sear and that sear that you would get otherwise for quick cooking proteins. Okay, so indirect heat. If you only have 2 burners on your grill, say 1, 2 or 1, 2, you would turn off one of them, and your food would go over the one that is off, and then there would only be 1 burner going to keep that heat regulation, but not have that direct heat over your food. Okay, charcoal grills. If you have a charcoal grill, the way that you do indirect heat with that is after your briquettes, you use about 50 or so when you use a charcoal grill. You would pile them up into sort of a shallow pyramid, light them. After about 25 to 30 minutes, they should be white and an ashy, kind of enough to be able to be spread. That's when you cook your food, is when it's that ashy, the coals turn ashy and they're nice and hot. Then you would spread them out, and that gives you your flame and your grilling temperature. If you want indirect heat with a charcoal grill, you're going to use a small like drip pan, like an aluminum foil pie pan, right in the center of your charcoal grill, and your briquettes are going to go around it. Your food then will sit right over the top of that pie pan where there's not direct heat. So you're creating that indirect heat around it again. Okay. So that's the difference between gas grill indirect heat, charcoal grill indirect heat. Another Q&A. Recommended type of onion. I typically use either just a yellow onion or a sweet onion. When I do the deconstructed shish kebabs, I like the sweet onion. I don't want to spice out my kids too much. So we try to go more the sweet route when we do the deconstructed shish kebab. Good question. All right. So that's the difference between direct and indirect. The other thing is, for charcoal grills, like I said before, it takes about 30 minutes to preheat a charcoal grill. I grew up on a charcoal grill, and I absolutely hated when my dad grilled because I knew that not only if he didn't start the grill, it's still going to take a half hour to preheat, then it was going to take however long to cook the food. So I was very impatient, and I did not like charcoal grilling. The flavor was always delicious. Some people swear by it. I'm just too impatient and busy of a person to worry about 30 minutes of preheating. All right. So that being said, it's up to you. I prefer gas just because it's quicker, but there's some people who absolutely swear by charcoal grills, and there's some people who have both. They feel like a charcoal grill can do certain things some ways, and gas grills certain things other ways. Smokers are a whole nother ball game. I'm not personally there yet. I'm still learning. So don't ask questions about smokers. I'm not there yet. That's still a relatively new concept to me. I get the concept, but I just really haven't utilized it enough to be able to talk on that. Okay. Great questions, guys. Thanks so much for keeping interactive and everything. We're going to go back to our grill again, and we are going to come check everything. Stone with veggies over pie pan on grill. Yeah, so if you're gonna do the deconstructed shish kebab, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your grill mat or your grill pan that you have. You're gonna put your deconstructed shish kebab on there, and then that's your grate. On the bottom where your coals go, your pie pan is going to actually create that indirect heat. Okay, so that's going to be empty in the middle as if it was indirect. There's no flames coming up to hit the bottom of your food, and your coals are going to go around that empty pie plate on the bottom. Okay, make sure I answered your question. Okay, so I'm going to take my same tongs that I used before, and I'm going to come in here. See how easily that released from the grill? I wasn't pulling, I literally just scooped it up. And then look at those amazing grill and char marks. So that is a really good habit to get into, is just leave your food alone. Wait till it's ready to be moved around. It will tell you when it's ready to be moved around. All right. So we're going to flip this around. Make sure the other side of our chicken gets cooked. And this is the same process you guys would follow on that grill pan. Okay. Your chicken won't look as seared as because of the direct heat. But once you flip it, all of your veggies are going to start to get little char marks around the corners and everything like that. You absolutely will not miss out on the grilled flavor of your deconstructed shish kebab. And what I love about the deconstructed shish kebab is like I said, don't have to worry about soaking the skewers. I don't have to worry about cleaning skewers if I'm using reusable ones. I don't have to worry about food falling through the grates. I don't have to, you know what I forgot? I normally add tomatoes too, and I forgot to add my tomatoes. I'm going to throw a couple in here just for fun. So I'm going to grab them out of my fridge and add some tomatoes. I love roasted tomatoes. I've actually started using roasted tomatoes in cold salads as well. I had that on vacation a few weeks ago in a cold salad, and it was like totally different flavor profile and such a good idea. So about deconstructed shish kebab, and I don't have to worry about like, oh, my tomatoes are like falling off because they're so cooked, but my meat is not cooked yet. So I love how you can move this around and really just kind of grill your food in a better controlled way than just on a shish kebab stick. Okay, let me grab a couple tomatoes because I did forget to throw those in there, and those will just kind of pop a little bit as this continues to cook. So we'll add those in there. Oh my gosh, guys, this smells so good. Personally, I would serve this with probably rice or quinoa. I would also put some, after it's done cooked, I would use some Kalamata olives, maybe a dollop of hummus, some feta cheese, a whole Mediterranean plate out of this yumminess right here. Now, if you were doing beef or pork, you would do the same exact thing, except you would then use your meat thermometer to check for the doneness. Pork is done at 145 degrees. Beef is done in about 10-degree increments based at the very bottom of like 125, 130 degrees, all the way up to well done. Okay, and they go up in about 5 to 10-degree increments. That is written on your recipe as well. Okay. I'm a medium girl with mine, so usually that's, I think, 145-ish degrees-ish. I like it pink inside. We're going to let this continue cooking. I'm going to turn my heat back up a little bit because it did cool down for me. I'm also going to turn on my back burner because I'm going to show you our grilled pineapple next, which is so yummy, and people are going to think you are a stellar griller when you do grilled pineapple. All right. So for the grilled pineapple, I'm going to grab a different knife because my knife is filled with garlic and onion. So I'm just going to grab a quick another knife in here. There we go. Move my garlic out of the way, and we're going to get some pineapple spears. This was actually a fresh pineapple that I had cut up yesterday. So I cored it. Okay. I just saw a very good question come through. One second. Do recipes typically tell you whether direct or indirect heat is needed for the dish, or do you have to estimate based on the temp requirement listed? The recipes, if it's a good recipe, if it's a good source, it will tell you direct or indirect heat. Anytime I get recipes from Food Network or Weber Grill or a grilling cookbook or a grilling website or a grilling blog, they will tell you direct or indirect heat if it's a good recipe, okay? If it's not a great recipe, you can assume direct heat, but I would watch it if it's something that you feel like could probably use indirect heat. Like, I don't cook fish right on direct heat. I cook it on indirect heat because it is tender, it's flaky, right? Things that I cook on direct heat, burgers, steak, pork chops, like your proteins, right? Your big cuts of protein. Pineapple, I'm going to cook on direct heat. Watermelon, if you want to grill watermelon, is another direct heat source. You want those grill marks, you want that sear on your food. Otherwise, it's going to be an indirect heat, but a good recipe will tell you. Okay. So for your pineapple, what we're going to do is this tastes so delicious. We're going to serve it very simply with just some honey, some crushed pistachios, and some mint. We're going to cut this into spears. Like I said, I did peel it and core it yesterday. So it's been waiting for us. And I'm just going to take this and cut this into about 6 spears. The cool part about grilling pineapple is it gets really like caramelized, okay? So you're not actually like cooking the pineapple, we're just searing the pineapple to release those natural juices and to get that sear on it, okay? Let me just wash my hands real quick. I'm going to place my pineapple on the back burner now, and this is over direct heat. Even if we were cooking in direct heat, excuse me, if I was doing a grill pan over indirect heat, I had my middle burner off, I would put my pineapple over one of the burners that was on still for that direct heat if I was doing this all concurrently on an outside grill, okay? So I'll move you guys with me. Thanks for your patience with me moving, guys. I appreciate it. I apologize for the moving. I hope it's smooth and fluid for you. We're gonna take our pineapple and just lay it on its side. And we're gonna hear that nice sizzle of our pineapple. And it's only about 2 minutes on each side. We just, like I said, want those grill marks. We're not looking to really cook the pineapple for real. If you are doing, we're gonna go back to the shish kebab for just a second. If you are doing shish kebab on a stick, make sure you're not overcrowding it. If it's too crowded on your stick, your food won't cook. So make sure if you do like the sticks with shish kebab, you definitely don't overcrowd them. You guys notice I used my different tongs for my pineapple because I didn't want to cross-contaminate with the chicken, all right? We're almost getting there with the chicken. I personally can see a couple bigger pieces that aren't necessarily cooked all the way through, and I'm still kind of waiting for my tomatoes to pop a little bit because I added them a little bit later on accident. If you wanted to, though, you can absolutely take your meat thermometer and you can stab one of your bigger pieces of chicken, find out the temperature. So we'll turn that on. This is a 5-second read one, but usually it's like 2 or 3 seconds, to be honest. So I'm gonna find one of my bigger pieces, stab it, and we're almost there. It's reading 157 degrees. So we're almost there to be able to take this off and let it continue resting. A good meat thermometer too will actually have the temperatures written on there somewhere, so you don't have to memorize them or you don't have to keep coming back to them, okay? So this is almost done as well. And that was one of my bigger pieces, which means my smaller pieces are probably near done. We're gonna take this off and put it on a platter. Like I serve it on a platter and people can serve themselves. We kind of do like a shish kebab buffet when we serve this up, but we're gonna let it rest first. Our pineapple is probably pretty close to being able to be flipped. Almost there, not quite grill marks yet. I'm gonna turn it up just a little smidgen, or a little over medium heat. Were there any other questions while we were waiting for our pineapple to cook up? I do have 2 more grilling tips with some standard grill food. I know these are a little bit out of the box, but I think it's so cool. And again, will make you really hero of the grill when you have these basic recipes. For burgers, if you have are cooking burgers, you will do them over direct heat. Watch for flare-ups. If you're hand forming burgers out of your own ground meat, make sure that when you flatten them pretty well, and you actually put a thumbprint right in the middle of them. That will prevent them from shrinking up into meatballs. We don't want meatball burgers, we want burgers. So make sure you put that thumbprint in there. Also, burgers don't take a lot of fancy seasoning. Really just some salt and pepper on them on both sides before you put them on the grill. Then you can dress them up with whatever other toppings you want. But just the basic salt and pepper seasoning is good to go. I did see a question come through. At the end, can you camera shot your stove comparing to mine? Sure, no problem, Darlene. I can do that for you. All right, so for burgers, also make sure that you watch for hot spots, especially if you're cooking frozen burgers, because your burger might look done on the outside because it cooked really hot on the outside. but might not be all the way cooked on the inside, especially if they're fat pub burgers, okay? So have your heat thermometer on standby. I'm a medium grill with my burger as well, so you can definitely check for temperature with those. As far as sausages, we are in the Chicagoland area, right? So we do have brats and Italian sausages as well in the area. When you cook those, you're gonna want to sear them for like 2 minutes on each side and then turn the heat down. So you're gonna start on a high heat, but don't keep it on a high heat because that is where most of the flare-ups come, okay? So you're gonna start on a medium high heat, sear it, close the lid, sear it, and then you're gonna turn it down to like a medium low, and those take about 20 to 25 minutes to cook. A lot of people cook them way too hot, way too fast, and they end up burnt and charred and not cooked evenly. So when you do sausages on the grill, make sure that you do searing, then turn down the heat and cook low and slow for the rest of the time. And you'll be very happy with how those sausages turn out. All right. Can you please share again which temps correlate with high, medium, and low setting? Yes, I will definitely do that. Give me 2 minutes to flip this pineapple, and then I'll definitely share those with you. All right, so our pineapple is starting to get a nice sear on it. Can you guys see the sear on the pineapple? That's what's releasing all of those yummy juices and flavors and sugars. We're gonna just do 2 minutes on the other side. I'm gonna turn off my front burner because our chicken should be practically done because we were at about 157 degrees. Our bigger pieces are good. Our tomatoes are getting wrinkly. We're doing good, guys. We're doing good. All right. So while our pineapple is finishing cooking, let me give you those temperatures again. So when you are doing a high heat, if your recipe calls for high heat, you're gonna be 450 to 500 degrees. If you're going for medium high, you're going for 400 to 450. If you're going for medium, you're going to from 350 to 400. Medium low is 300 to 350. And low is 250 to 300. All about 50-degree increments there. I always like to think of medium heat. That's kind of what we cook and bake at, 350 to 400. There's not many times where we put our oven below 350 or above 400. So that's our nice even temperature, 350 to 400 on our grill as well. Okay. So for our pineapple, to finish up our pineapple, we do have some pistachios that we need to rough chop real quick. So I'm just going to use my little chopper here to get those chops. Nice rough chop. They don't need to be super minced or anything like that. You can also use peanuts. I'm a pistachio fan, so I'm using pistachios. And then we're going to use a little bit of mint. Let me grab that out of the fridge. That was sitting there for me waiting. My mint is like not in the best shape. It like had a rough journey home or something like that. So we're just going to try to pick the best leaves off of it. You can either rip your mint over the top of your pineapple, or you can chiffonade it. And I'm going to show you how to chiffonade. This is one of the only fancy things that I do on a regular in my kitchen. On a regular, I should say. I reserve fancy cooking for the weekends, but on the regular, I like to chiffonade. Chiffonade means you're going to stack your leaves together, basil, mint, stuff like that. And then you're going to roll them tightly into like a little log. Okay, so you're going to roll it tightly into a log. From there, you're going to take your knife and you're just going to slowly wrap your knife through your mint or your basil or whatever you're chiffonading. Usually nice flat leaves are a chiffonade. Chiffonade means ribbon. And then you're going to see that we have nice little ribbon pieces for our pineapple. Okay, oops, what part of it got clumped together? So there we go, a little chiffonade of our mint. So we have our pistachios, we have our mint, we have our honey at the ready. I'm going to take my pineapple off and I'm going to dress it up for you guys. Oh, yum. People are always so surprised with this when they see this. It's such a good side dish to have or a dessert to have because it's refreshing, it's light, it's not a dense baked good. for summer picnics. So it's a really nice, refreshing dessert to have. You can also serve it with some like whipped cream or Cool Whip or something on the side as well. All right, we're gonna add some of our pistachios on here. A little bit of our mint. I almost called it basil. A little bit of mint. Oh my goodness. And then a little bit of honey drizzled on top as well. And this just really, we use a lot of honey in the house. Gotta let my bear sink down. There we go. A little bit of honey across the top to bring all of those flavors together. And really, honey and pistachios are such a Mediterranean flavor, so it goes so well with our deconstructed shish kebab. So that's the grilled pineapple. And now we'll serve up the grilled, I'm gonna turn off my fan now. My smoke detector won't yell at me anymore. Onto a nice platter here. Oh, this is gonna be so good. And like I said, serve this up with some rice on the side or potatoes if you want to. You can do some feta, some hummus, some Kalamata olives if you're going the Greek route. But you can really, like I said, use any rub that you have a taste for, but still the same base recipe. Plus, the other great thing about deconstructed shish kebabs is you can make so much more. Shish kebabs in general are kind of a tedious food to make because you have to skewer them all and, you know, it's just kind of tedious. But look at how much I made in such a short amount of time. It's a real crowd pleaser. Yum. Oh, so delicious. I mean, champion of barbecue, right? So not only do you have two amazing dishes, but you have so many great tips that you can bring with you to your summer barbecues this year and really show off your skills. People are going to be asking you to be the barbecue master at parties now. Were there any final questions